My children, pause, sit closer. Tonight, I want to share a story. Not just any story, but the journey of my life, how I started with nothing, yet ended with everything I once dreamed of. This story is for you and for everyone listening out there, because what I have learned, what I have lived, is proof that discipline, patience, and vision can turn even the smallest seed into a forest of abundance. When I was your age, I had nothing. Pause, nothing but hope, nothing but hunger, and nothing but the desire to change my future. I wasn't born rich. I didn't inherit wealth. I didn't win a lottery. I was just an ordinary man with an ordinary salary. My first paycheck was so small. I could barely pay for rent, food, and transport. But still, I made a promise to myself. I will never spend everything I earn. Yes, even when it hurt, even when I wanted comfort, even when others laughed at me, I saved a portion. And not only did I save, I invested. That was the beginning. At first, it was painful. My friends mocked me. They said, "Why live so poor when you could enjoy your money today?" But I knew something they didn't. I wasn't living for today. I was planting for tomorrow. While they bought new clothes, I wore the same shoes for years. While they ate in restaurants, I cooked simple meals. While they borrowed money to impress others, I invested every extra coin. My very first investment? Pause, a farming cooperative. Small farmers pooling their efforts to grow wheat. The returns were tiny, laughable even. But instead of spending them, I reinvested. And that, my children, was my first lesson in wealth. Never eat all the harvest. Save the seeds. Replant them. Let them multiply. Years passed. Slowly, my contributions grew. The cooperative expanded. The profits increased. And with every season, I reinvested, not just in wheat, but in other ventures. Olive trees, greenhouses, a small dairy farm. None of these made me rich overnight. But together, like rivers joining into a mighty sea, they began to shape my future. Let me tell you a real story I once witnessed. There was a farmer named Omar. He owned just one cow. That cow gave milk enough for his family. Most people would stop there, but Omar sold the extra milk, bought another cow, then another. He didn't waste his earnings on luxuries. He reinvested again and again. After 20 years, Omar owned one of the largest dairy farms in the region. His children went to the best schools. His family lived in dignity. All of that from one cow. Pause, that story burned into my heart. Wealth, my children, is not magic. It is not luck. It is discipline, patience, vision. Another man I knew planted an orchard of orange trees. For years, the trees gave almost nothing. Neighbors laughed at him. "You're wasting your land," they said. But he kept watering, waiting, believing. After 10 years, his orchard exploded with fruit. He sold thousands, then exported abroad. From poverty to wealth. Why? Because he had patience. Pause, and patience is what separates the poor from the rich. The poor demand reward today. The rich build systems that reward tomorrow and the day after and for generations. Back to my story. After about 15 years of constant saving and investing, my wealth finally reached $1 million. A million. Pause, for a boy who once counted coins to buy bread. It was unbelievable. But that was not the end. It was only the beginning. I diversified. Farming was good, but I wanted to grow wider. I invested in logistics, trucks that transported food, then in cold storage warehouses. Step by step, I didn't just stay a farmer. I became part of the whole chain, from soil to storage to supermarket shelf. Each move was risky, each step terrifying. But I calculated, I prepared, and most of all, I reinvested. That, my children, is lesson 2. Never gamble recklessly, but never fear calculated risks. Let me explain with a picture. Imagine every dollar you earn is like a worker. If you spend it, that worker disappears forever. But if you invest it, that worker goes into the world and brings back more workers. Over years, your one worker becomes 10, then 100, then an army. That army works while you sleep. That is the power of compounding. I will never forget the day I realized I had enough passive income to quit my job. My investments were paying me more than my salary. I looked at my paycheck and smiled. I didn't need it anymore. But instead of relaxing, instead of retiring early, I pushed harder. Because I wasn't building wealth only for myself. I was building for you, my children, for your education, your security, your dignity. And let me tell you something important. Wealth without values is nothing. Money without character is emptiness. That's why, as my wealth grew, I gave back. I funded schools. I helped young entrepreneurs. I supported local farmers who reminded me of myself. And every time I gave, opportunities multiplied. Generosity didn't make me poorer. It made me richer, both in soul and in business. Remember this, my children. True wealth is not cars, houses, or jewelry. Those things fade. Real wealth is freedom. The ability to choose your life, protect your family, and give your children a future brighter than your own. Today, I'm a billionaire. Pause, but not because I was smarter than everyone. Not because I was lucky. I'm a billionaire because I was disciplined, because I was patient, because I reinvested relentlessly. Now, let me leave you with 3 more stories, 3 lessons carved into my heart. First, the fisherman. He caught 10 fish each day. Most ate 8 and sold 2. But this man ate 5, sold 5, and used the money to buy better nets. Soon, he caught 100 fish daily. While others stayed poor, he thrived. Why? Because he sacrificed today for abundance tomorrow. Second, the teacher. She earned a modest salary, but every month she invested a small part into her retirement account. She never skipped, even in hard times. After 30 years, she retired wealthier than many businessmen. Her secret? Consistency, not high income. Third, the friends. A group of young men pooled their money to buy land. Together, they started a farm. Every year, they reinvested profits. In 15 years, they weren't just friends. They were partners in a multi-million-dollar business. Collaboration made them rich. So, my children and my listeners out there, do you see the truth? I sit before you a billionaire. But what matters most is not the number in my bank account. It is the life I built for you, the legacy I leave behind, the lessons carved into your minds. Discipline is wealth. Patience is power. Reinvestment is the road to abundance. And if I could do it, me, a poor man with nothing but a dream, then you can too. Start small. Save. Invest. Reinvest. Repeat. Do this long enough, and one day, you too will sit before your children and tell them, I began with nothing, but today we have everything. Pause, deep breath, because wealth is not luck. Wealth is a choice, and today you must choose.